YouTube fam, Cash here. What a week, baby. It was good to your boy. I'm gonna save all the suspense and cliffhangers. We done good this week. But before we get into that, I just want to welcome you to my channel. If you haven't been here before, this is how to become a day trader, where I track my journey to becoming a day trader. So I basically decided that I wanted to learn how to become a day trader, and I had set a goal that by the end of the year, the end of 2020, I was going to become a day trader. So set a smart goal. How would I determine that? Had a $25,000 account and I wanted to double my money. So by the end of the year, my account needs to be at 50K. And this weekly roundup every Monday, I recap how I did the previous week, see where I'm projecting as far as my goals concerned, and then talk about the coming week. So without further ado, let's get into the numbers. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This Excel file is a little creation of my own, which is the Trader in Training Kit. So I have a growth tracker which just shows projections on how my money would grow over time through the end of the year based on a 1%, 2%, or 3% growth. That doesn't matter. What's really important here are my results. So let's get into the results. Let's dig in. Ended the week at $36,213.30, my friends. That means for the week, I was up $2,644.88. Unbelievable. It was an incredible week. I'm super happy. And to put it in perspective, I made more last week than I had made in the previous 6 weeks combined. I made $2,345 in the previous, that's previous 5 weeks. It was 2,800, so almost 6 weeks. Nonetheless, I was up 8%. And if we look at the Trader Commandments, if you watch the past 2 weeks, I've done very poorly on my Trader Commandments. If you don't know what that is, I've created these 10 Trader Commandments, which is basically my strategy. And I believe if that I can hit at least 9 out of 10 of these each week, I will see success. And wouldn't you know, after not hitting it the past 3 weeks and being miserable the last 2 weeks with a 50% and 30%, again, your boy hit 9 out of 10, 90%. The only one I didn't get was setting all stops by 11 and being out of, and basically be no entries after 11. I decided I made a little bit of a shift, and I might tweak that a little bit because I think I might allow myself to have entries after 11, but I need to figure out how that fits into my commandments and not be so loose on it. But nonetheless, I still get a 0 because I haven't changed my strategy. So from that part, that kept me from 100. So I'm going to try to keep that momentum going. Let's see how I'm tracking in regards to my projection. So with this said, here's my growth, steady uptrend, looks beautiful. The weekly results on the right, this blue is the same chart. The green is basically projections for the end of the year for me to hit 50K. So as long as the blue line is above the green line, we're good. So as you can see, we're doing really well. All right. Let's talk about the weekly breakdown. So what happened last week? The airlines were off the chain. It was insane. I jumped in a little bit on that, but casinos were really where I made my mark. The two stocks that did wonders for me, MGM crushed it last week, and Bank of America crushed it. And to me, I didn't make as much money on MGM. I exceeded all my goals, but the reason why it was more special for me was because it was the first stock I actually charted out. I created zones, and it wasn't just a linear progression up. Whereas MGM and all the casinos, you could have thrown a dart at a dartboard and hit a casino that was up. So Bank of America I was in and out of, and I thought I did a great job strategically from the day trading strategy. The other thing that in the week that really resonated with me, I'd watched this video in my community, the We Trade HQ community with other traders where I do my mentorship. Somebody had sent a video about the 20 habits of successful traders. And one of them, and I'm going to mess this all up, but I'll try my best to explain it. One of them was basically talking about how you have to be tight with your losers and free and liberal with your winners. And it was explaining how psychologically, once we start winning money, we get tighter, and it's our nature to want to be tight. So it sounds obvious, but I actually had been experiencing that. And with MGM was a perfect example. Early in the week, it made a run, and I deviated from my plan and just tightened up my stop loss when I knew I should have still had a little bit of freedom. That doesn't mean I don't move up my stop loss, but I made it impossible for the stock to actually have movement and have freedom of movement to continue going up. Now, I stopped out. I did end up getting back in, so I salvaged that. I don't want to say I salvaged it because I made money on both ends, but I got back in. However, I missed about a 5% of the run. And if I had just set my normal stop, I would have been totally fine. So another lesson learned, but that really stood out to me. And on the flip end of that, it talks about the losers. Again, we try to chase losers, whereas we should just keep tight stops and then try to get it on the back end. So if it comes back again, go again. But just admitting when you're wrong and cutting losses and not trying to keep betting on that. If I want to reinvest, why don't I reinvest in something that's moving up, not moving down and trying to reverse the trend? Lastly, one key point they made was that was counterintuitive to me, was really working with stocks that are near 52 weeks highs or that are at 52 weeks highs, to not be afraid of them. Whereas we keep looking at stocks with big gaps in them and room to run that are away from their highs. I'm not saying you can't play those, but don't fear the 52-week highs, because that could only mean higher highs. Those are my big takeaways from last week. Going into this week, as I'm coming down this high, I'm trying to reflect on my emotions and really be present at what I'm thinking. One of the things that I'm trying to fight against myself is to forget last week and not allow it to predict the future. So naturally, we crushed it last week. So I want to be really tight, and I want to be like, oh man, we got to pull back this week. Well, why? Why can't we keep running? So I can't go into the week fear-based. I have to trust my technical analysis. I have to trust the charts, and I have to just be tight. Now, because we crushed it last week, maybe, I should be more cognizant. I could be a little bit tighter, but that shouldn't change how I actually run with the stock. So look out for that. My next video next week to see how I did with it. But I need to take the week as it comes in case we continue to move green overall, because I don't want to miss the boat on that. With that said, what am I looking at this week? So I actually am going to keep a keen eye on the airlines. I still think they have room to move. And I'm going to also keep an eye on the casinos. I think we still have movement in it, especially because people are excited about opening. But I was on Southwest Flight, and they're booked. And the hotels, I'm hoping that they report back, the casinos, that they're full capacity and they're planning on having full capacity. So I'm hoping that provides a little bit of an uptick. We'll see. I'm just keeping my eye on it. But specifically in the airline industry, I think JetBlue has it didn't run like the other airline stocks ran last week. So I like that stock. I'm going to keep an eye on that. And I have a newfound appreciation of Spirit. I know that was like the hot stock from Davy Day Trading Global, but the more I looked into it, actually the more I like it. I don't love it, but I think there's an opportunity there too. So I'm going to watch those two stocks. MGM, if you've watched this channel, I have a love for MGM. So that's going to be something I'm looking at as well. And then in different industries, I swung a few stocks, and we'll see how they're looking as well. Slack, that's one of the work ticker, WORK. That was a call out from my mentor, Brad Smith. He had talked about that. They had a huge pullback after earnings, but the earnings are actually really good. So I'm looking to swing that, and I'm looking at Peloton, and I'm looking at Zoom, who have been great players for me in the past. I'm swinging all three of those. So we'll see how those play out. Stay tuned. Thank you for following along, and we'll talk to you soon.